All right, let's get into it. Today we're breaking down a truly one-of-a-kind story that's been making the rounds online. It's a satirical piece about a claim so wild, so out of left field, that it had just about everyone doing a massive double take. So let's kick things off with the central claim that started this whole firestorm. According to the report, this was the statement from Donald Trump that set off this absolutely bizarre chain of events, all because of a supposed discovery about his family tree.
So where did this even come from? How did this all start? Well, the story begins with a supposed discovery made in, of all places, the National Archives, a find that would supposedly rewrite a very, very famous family history.
As the story goes, the proof was found completely by accident by a research intern. And you have to love the title of the folder they supposedly clicked on. Top secret, reparations exemptions do not open. I mean, talk about a perfect setup for what comes next. And there you have it, the scientific foundation for the entire claim. Not some complex, dusty old document, but a lineage chart written in gold ink with let's call it a unique genetic breakdown. 3% melanin and 97% chaos. That's not exactly a 23andMe result, is it?
Okay, so you found this irrefutable evidence. What's the next logical step? Well, of course, it's to hold a full-blown emergency press conference to tell the entire world about your newfound heritage.
And the stage for this big announcement was memorable. We're not talking about your standard wooden podium here. No, this one was shaped like a giant fried chicken drumstick, which was probably a pretty good clue that this wasn't going to be your average press conference.
So for the big reveal, what was the proof? A single photograph of a supposed great-great-granduncle named Rufus T. Trumpington, decked out in a zoot suit and holding a trumpet. Apparently, the reporters in the room were just trying their best not to laugh out loud.
But wait, it gets better. Then came this bombshell of a quote. Not only did this ancestor exist, but his family invented jazz, the entire genre of jazz. A tremendous claim, to say the least. Now, you can probably guess what happened next, right? The reaction online was instant, and it was, well, let's just say it was skeptical. Black Twitter, in particular, absolutely had a field day with this one.
The whole thing was met with this wave of hilarious disbelief. You know, people weren't asking for DNA tests or anything like that. They were asking for cultural proof. The classic potato salad test was brought up as the real gatekeeper of authenticity here.
And then, of course, you had the pure sarcasm. Responses like this one just perfectly captured that collective, "Are you kidding me?" feeling, comparing the claim to other scenarios that are just completely and totally absurd. It wasn't just jokes and memes, though. Prominent figures in the FBA community, like Tariq Nasheed, were reported to have weighed in, but they came at it from a different angle, demanding really rigorous proof and documentation. They were essentially calling his bluff on his own terms. So, while the court of public opinion was having its fun, the story also got the attention of the experts. What did actual genealogists and historians think when they took a look at the so-called evidence? And this is where the story gets even funnier. When genealogists actually examined the document, it wasn't that fancy gold ink chart. No, it was just a single line scribbled in pencil on a family tree. And the handwriting? Well, let's just say it looked suspiciously familiar to them. I mean, things got so out of control that the Smithsonian had to step in. They actually released a public statement that was basically the institutional version of a deep, weary sigh, pleading with people to stop asking them for the certificate. You would think that would be the end of it, right? Widespread ridicule, expert dismissal, but nope. According to the report, the story didn't end there. Instead, he just doubled down, building on his newfound heritage. So he starts connecting these new dots, right? Suddenly he's always had rhythm, he's got these soulful movements, and apparently he can do the electric slide better than anyone. And then came the grand finale. He claimed he should be a candidate for reparations. So, after all that, what was the final word from the people who actually know their history? This quote from a White House historian just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly sums up the entire unbelievable saga. And really, that brings us to the whole point of this. This wild, satirical story, it's more than just a funny tale. It kind of holds a mirror up to our current moment, you know? In an era of wild claims and political theater, it really makes you think, what does it take for a story to stick, no matter how unbelievable it might be? It's definitely a question worth thinking about.